Here at the BBC, we've been keeping a very close eye on how Egyptian media is actually reporting the situation there. We can take you over to Anne-Marie Tomchak now, who is in the World Newsroom for us. Anne-Marie, has there been a shift at all in the past 24 hours in how the local media have been covering the situation?
Well, Lucy, this week the Egyptian media was incredibly polarised, and there has been a change, at least in a very nuanced way. Now, I've been talking to our BBC monitoring team here in the newsroom, and they look at all of the Egyptian media, TV, press, and Simona from the monitoring team is here. Simona, what have you noticed?
Well, on Wednesday, we talked about how polarised the Egyptian media coverage was of the security forces' crackdown on the protesters. When I was talking to my team, or our team in Cairo, they were saying that the situation is pretty much the same, although they did flag up that certain changes to perhaps how the situation is being reported at the moment.
So what kind of changes have you noticed?
One thing that is becoming very clear is that any media outlets that are sympathetic to the Muslim Brotherhood are finding it increasingly hard to get their message across. So, for example, we noticed that Al-Ahram TV, which is a TV channel sympathetic to the Muslim Brotherhood, it was the TV channel that on Wednesday aired a lot of graphic images showing protesters being killed, a lot of dead bodies. It is no longer available in Egypt today, so we can see it here in the UK, but no longer available in Egypt, in Cairo. So that was one of the changes that we noticed.
We've been looking at some of the other TV networks as well.
We have. There's one interesting media development on TV. This is a privately owned TV channel.
I believe we've got some stills of those.
We do. It has been taken a very anti-Muslim Brotherhood line. So we noticed that this morning at about 9 o'clock it switched its audio to broadcasting in English, which is a very interesting switch because obviously they're very keen to get their views across and share this with the world. We even noticed that one of the presenters was actually encouraging foreign media outlets to relay their broadcasts. So again, very keen to get their views across to the international community about what's happening in the country.
Simona, thank you very much for telling us all about that. And I just want to continue that theme about language because the language used both in English and Arabic seems to have been something that is significant. And I'm joined by one of my colleagues from the BBC Arabic team, Mohamed. Mohamed, have you noticed a difference in the language used by the Muslim Brotherhood in Arabic and in English?
Yeah, actually the Muslim Brotherhood is adopting two different discourses, one for the local or the domestic media or the domestic audience and the other for the Western media and the Western audience. For the domestic one they are saying we are trying to reinstate Morsi back to power because we want to apply Sharia in Egypt. But actually when it comes to the Western media, they are speaking about democracy, civil rule. We want Morsi back to reinstate Sharia. And actually they are ignoring totally talking about Sharia when it comes to addressing the West.
It's very interesting, the different messages they're trying to get out there. What about the media in Egypt trying to operate there? We heard earlier this week that some media was restricted. Is that still the case, or have there been any updates on that?
Yeah, actually most of the regional TV channels have been cracked down. Actually, there has been a crackdown by the authorities on some of the regional TV satellite channels that are pro-Muslim Brotherhood. And actually, most of the Islamist channels in Egypt have been shut down following the ouster of Morsi. So they are finding a great difficulty in getting their message across to the world and to the local audience as well.
And how about outside of Cairo? Because this isn't happening just in Cairo. There are lots of other incidents outside of that city.
Yeah, actually so far we have been hearing from local media that there have been like 7 killed in Ismailia, which is about 140 kilometers northeast of Cairo. Actually Ismailia is very significant because it's where the Muslim Brotherhood was started in 1928 by Hassan al-Banna, and it's one of the strongholds of the Muslim Brotherhood. Actually in other areas in southern Egypt, in Minya and Ben Suef and Asyut, which are strongholds of the Muslim Brotherhood and the allied Islamist groups like Al-Jama'ah al-Islamiyah and Jihad as well.
I just want to take you back to the use of language. We mentioned the Muslim Brotherhood using very different language in English and Arabic, but the language that's being used on social media is incredibly polarised. Has there been a change in the code or the types of hashtags that are coming in? over the past 24 hours?
Well, actually, the social media is still highly polarized. You can see friends cutting their relationships because one is pro-Morsi and the other is pro-military or pro the interim government. You can see this division within the same family. You can see people inside the same family not talking to each other because of this. So it's still polarized, and I think it's going to be more and more polarized in this. Yeah.
Mohamed, thank you very much for joining us. Well, do send us in your stills, your pictures and videos. We have a video uploader on our website. It's at bbc.com/haveyoursay, and you can also get in touch with me on Twitter. I'm at AM Tomchak.
Anne-Marie, fascinating. Thank you very much for bringing us that from the World Newsroom.